My wife cheated, got pregnant, and left me for another guy. But now she's realizing he's not the dream she thought he was, and guess what? I'm the father of the baby. This mess just keeps getting worse. My wife is 30 years old and has always worked out and stayed in shape, but lately, I feel like it's becoming excessive. She used to regularly work out at a gym when she was in college. At some point, she stopped going, I think just due to her schedule, and preferred working out at home or going for runs outside. About 18 months ago, she announced she was going to get back into the habit of going to the gym. She now had a job where she could make more time for it. It started off normal but slowly became more and more frequent. She signed up for classes on the weekend, both days, started going every day, then it became mornings before work and again later in the evening. Every single day. If she's stressed, she goes to the gym. If she experiences some sort of life crisis, she immediately heads to the gym. We have an argument, she runs to the gym. She's 4 months pregnant right now. I'm honestly surprised we even had time to conceive. I understand that it's safe for her to work out, especially since she was already in the habit before getting pregnant, but the intensity is not slowing down. If she misses one of her normal gym sessions, she becomes so irritable, like someone going through withdrawals. It's just bizarre. Truly a case of too much of a good thing. Of course, she gets upset when I voice that I feel it's becoming an unhealthy obsession and that I miss spending time with her because she's there so much. She has all of these friends and this whole circle of people there that she seems to prefer spending time with over me. Why don't we work out together at the gym? The gym is her time, she says. This isn't a case of me feeling insecure because she's in great physical shape and I'm completely out of shape. I work out and stay fit. My job really requires me to, so I can't let myself go even if I wanted to. I genuinely feel her gym habits are unhealthy. She's over-exercising, for one. That is a real issue, but worse than that, I feel like it's becoming a way for her to escape everything else in her life. She never actually fixes anything that goes wrong, she just runs off to the gym to get some sort of mood boost and then moves on. She also never gets anything else done in a practical sense. How can she when she's at the gym so often? It's to the point where I have to do every chore, and if food is getting made, I'm the one making it. I don't expect her to do everything, but it should at least be a shared effort. People we know have even commented on it to me. They've said things about how she seems different, how she sure is at the gym a lot, and many of her friends and family barely see her anymore. Some have even suggested she's having an affair with somebody there. Please tell me that this doesn't sound normal to you. She insists this is perfectly fine. Update. I posted not very long ago about my wife's addiction to the gym compulsion, if you will. She spends most of her free time there. She often goes twice a day, and sometimes even 3 times if we have a fight at night and she needs to run off instead of actually talking to me. She won't let me go to her gym, and she refuses to go to mine. Her gym is her place, my gym is my place, and that's just the way it has to be, according to her. I'd love to have her come along with me. I've invited her multiple times. She's about 18 weeks pregnant right now. This is our first baby. She worked out like crazy prior to the pregnancy and continues just as intensely now. I truly didn't think she was cheating on me. People suggested it in the last thread, and I laughed. You can tell she's at the gym a lot, she's in great shape. So she's obviously going there. I felt really confident about the cheating issue, and when I posted 9 days ago, I wasn't even considering that possibility. I'm embarrassed to admit that after reading a lot of the comments on my last post, I thought maybe I was being overly confident about her faithfulness. She usually always has her phone on her, but she left it on the kitchen counter, and as guilty as I felt, I decided to do a quick swipe through her texts. She had a current conversation going with a guy. I recognize the name, the same guy from the gym she mentions a lot. She's friends with a lot of people there, went to one of their weddings last fall. I wasn't too terribly concerned until I started reading the messages. Never wanted to know what that guy looked like in a certain way, but now I do. She was only out of the room for literally about a minute or two, so I had to scroll fast. I was furious. I asked her what in the world that conversation was about. She started yelling at me for looking at her phone. I told her she was acting so weird and that the gym obsession was really bothering me, so I just decided to look, ashamed that I did, but thinking I'd find absolutely nothing. She kept saying, "It's nothing, it's nothing." Didn't look like nothing to me. She sure seemed pretty interested in this, so, called nothing. I wanted to know if she had been involved with him. For how long? She kept saying no. I left the house because I was so furious, but not before I slammed her phone on the ground and shattered it. She was calling me all sorts of names for breaking her phone. She hit me on the back as hard as she could. I left. I went to my brother's house. My brother and sister-in-law were shocked, although my sister-in-law had been one of the most vocal ones about my wife's gym obsession being strange and constantly bringing it up to me. I went home. She was in bed crying. She obviously couldn't call me or anyone else for that matter. She was laying it on thick, saying, I didn't know if you'd ever come home. Give me a break. I took her phone to get repaired tonight. She doesn't deserve it, but I still feel guilty for breaking it. I still don't know how deep this goes. She won't admit to anything beyond what I saw. Was it just inappropriate messages, bad enough, or more? I'm convinced it was a lot more, but she refuses to hand over her phone and is now trying to act like I'm the terrible one who is mistreating her because I broke it. Not my proudest moment, but I honestly wanted to completely lose my temper after she punched me. I have never and would never actually lay a hand on her like that. Update 2. Not sure if posting something in my profile will be seen by anyone, but I don't feel like making another update in a subreddit. Today my wife asked me to stay home from work so we could talk. She laid in bed all day yesterday trying to get me to feel sorry for her. But I paid absolutely no attention to her and ended up leaving the house to go to my family's Super Bowl party. I wasn't in the mood to go, but I wasn't going to sit at home with her. It really bothered her that I left. She kept texting me things like, "Who just leaves like that? When something like this is happening, who is that cold and unfeeling that they just leave to go to a party?" I stayed home today to talk to her. She was full of tears. She's so sorry. According to her, she really was going to the gym twice a day because she likes going there, that's where her friends are, and it makes her feel good, it's fun for her. She met this guy there, and he started flirting with her. Everyone likes him. He's one of the most popular guys there. I didn't realize there were popular people at gyms. She admitted that she flirted back but didn't mean anything by it. She didn't reciprocate very much at first, but he gave her butterflies, and she just found herself flirting back without thinking. She said it felt like when she had a crush on somebody when she was younger. They started texting. At first, it was just friendly and nothing inappropriate for several months, but she'd feel giddy every time she got a message from him. She was really attracted to him but told him that she was married and that there could never actually be anything between them. According to her, he kept flirting with her anyway and said, "Sure, we won't cross the line." Until they did cross the line. She said she had tried to resist it for a while, but then one day, they kissed. She admitted to enjoying it but also feeling that it was wrong. She must not have felt that bad because she was unfaithful to me for the first time later that night. She described it like falling in love with somebody for the first time. All she could think about was him. Is she in love with him? She doesn't know. Is this baby mine? She thinks so, but there's always a small chance it could be his. He always uses protection, so she doesn't think it's his baby, but they were involved at the time she got pregnant. She loves me. She can't help that there's just this huge spark between the two of them. She doesn't know if she loves him. She doesn't know if the baby is mine. She doesn't know why she did this. She doesn't know what she thinks we should do. The final straw was when she said, "You would really leave me if it's not your baby, would you?" She had the nerve to ask me that. I told her of course I'm leaving her, and I wouldn't raise another man's child. She seemed shocked. She said, "Really? With everything we have and all our history, you wouldn't even consider it?" She can't be serious. I told her no, I would never consider it. She agreed to get a DNA test. She tearfully agreed, like I'm supposed to feel sorry for her about it? I don't know who this woman is. She was crying the whole time, but not tears of an ashamed or sorry person. They were tears for herself and meant to try to make me feel bad. Feel bad for what? That her heart is apparently so torn? Update 3. My wife is moving in with her affair partner. They're in love. My life has been reduced to a daytime talk show drama. The woman who was once my wife, who I considered a classy woman, has turned into someone completely unrecognizable. Today she announced that she's moving in with her affair partner from the gym. She's pregnant, might be his kid, might be mine. She's too embarrassed to go get blood drawn for a paternity test. She spent about a week trying to get my attention, to get me to talk to her, to get me to beg her to stay with me. I didn't fall for any of it. I've largely been ignoring her, and when we have to speak, I keep it very brief. We've been living together this whole time, but I'm in a different room now and functioning separately from her in all ways. So, her pouting and trying to get me to pay attention to her and give her a gold star for not going to the gym for 5 days in a row didn't work. Today, she texted me to say she is moving in with him. Somehow, I still care about this person. I've already met with a lawyer, though. I can care about her as a human being and possible mother of my child without being married to her. Still, it stung to hear her say she was going to be with him. I told her it wasn't a smart move to leave the house. I've even told her she should probably meet with a lawyer. She doesn't care about anything I have to say. I don't think she needs to move in with anybody. I actually feel bad for her that she can't just be on her own. I asked her if he actually knew she was pregnant and wanted to know what story she's been telling him this whole time. She said he knows and he doesn't care if it's my baby, he loves her and wants to be with her. Strange. You can't find anyone else? Somebody who isn't a married, pregnant woman? Why would you take that on? Doesn't make sense to me. He's not a great person, but he's apparently good looking, gainfully employed, and owns his own home, so you can't tell me that my married, pregnant wife is your only option here. I just can't imagine being a single guy like that and wanting to put up with this situation when I could have other options. And if this really is my baby, then what? They'll live with my wife and this guy half of the time? I don't know how my life turned into this mess. And she thinks it's embarrassing to have to go get blood drawn? Update 4. My wife has agreed to a paternity test. My wife moved in with her affair partner last weekend. She didn't take very much at all. Most of her stuff is still in our house. I still get the feeling she was just waiting for me to beg her to come home, but I didn't reach out to her at all after she left. It was a strange mixture of relief, anger, and sadness. I don't think I ate at all until last night. Just never felt hungry. Drank a little too much. But I'm fine. I'm posting this update because I've received a ton of messages from people, and honestly, it's emotionally draining to respond to each one and to have to type the same things out. I just don't feel like talking about her that much. So this morning she texted me to say her affair partner wants to get a DNA test done, so she's going to do it. Look at that, didn't matter when I wanted one, but now that he has requested it, she suddenly thinks it's a great idea. She asked if I wanted to submit a sample because it'll be cheaper to have 2 potential fathers tested as part of one package. I don't even care about the cost at this point, I just want an answer. I don't have to see or interact with them at all. I just have to make my own appointment with the lab to get my cheek swabbed. So this Saturday I'm going to do that, and we should have the results within a week. I'll take what I can get at this point because it's better than her dragging this out for another 20 weeks. So that's it. I'm fine. I'm going to work every day. Trying to function. Just feel stuck in limbo. I miss her. Honestly, I hate that she's there with him. It makes me sick. Part of me does want to beg her to come home. It'll be even worse if I find out that it's my baby and she's there with him. Unless he leaves her after finding out. I won't let myself beg her. I won't play any of those games with her. Update 5. An update on my wife's affair and pregnancy. My wife has been having an affair with a guy she met at the gym for at least nearly a year. She's around 22 weeks pregnant right now. She was somewhere around 17 weeks when I discovered she was cheating. She maintained that she was positive I was the father, but then refused to get a paternity test done to ease my mind. We recently had a paternity test done, at the request of her affair partner, and it proves the baby is mine. It's been very mixed emotions for me, very up and down. Originally I thought I just wanted to be completely done with her and not have any lifelong ties in the form of a full-blown human being we shared, but I was sort of happy or relieved when I got the results. I'd already had it in my mind that I was going to be a father for months before I found out she was cheating. Sometimes I just have moments where I can't believe this is my life, that this is the situation that my child will be born into, and I hate her for it. She's still living with him. All of her belongings are still here in our house. I refuse to do the work of packing everything up for her. She doesn't seem concerned about taking any of her things, beyond the essentials. After we got the news that I'm the baby's father, she texted me to say she's glad I'm the father and that she knows I'll be a great dad. She was texting me new baby name ideas last night. She's tried calling, but I ignore the calls. I only speak with her via text. This morning she asked if she could come by and get a few things. I told her it was fine, as I've been advised by my lawyer to not prevent her entry from the home, but I told her that he better not be with her. So who shows up with her? The guy she left me for. He walks right into the house behind her like it's no big deal. She ran upstairs to get the stuff she wanted, and he and I were just left standing there in the living room. He told me it wasn't her fault that he was there. She told him I didn't want him to come, but he forced his way along. He wanted to talk to me, supposedly, to tell me he understands how I must be feeling. No, you don't know. He told me he knows I probably don't believe him, but he genuinely loves her and knew he probably wasn't the father. He accepts it and then tried to assure me he won't try to take my place with the baby and hopes we can just get along since we're both going to be in her life now. He promises that she's fine, he's looking after her. I told him that I couldn't for the life of me imagine what he wanted with a pregnant woman who was having another man's child, that I found it weird. Then I told him if he didn't get out of my house, I'd punch him. I went upstairs and she was trying to find some things in the bathroom. I got mad, asked her why she brought him along, and told her I find it really strange that he still wants to be with her now that he knows he has nothing to do with this baby, and that I refuse to let him have anything to do with my child. She said he talked her into coming and she's sorry and never meant for any of this to happen, but she's in love with him now. He is supposedly what 30-year-old her is looking for, not me. She's setting up a nursery in his house and I can set one up at my house, and she has no intention of trying to get full custody or anything like that. She doesn't want to keep me from being involved in my child's life. How generous of her. She went back downstairs and I followed her, and he was still standing there in the living room. I just walked up to him and punched him. He stumbled back and fell into a table. She yelled at me and ran over to him. I don't even care at this point. As if he's going to call the cops? He deserved it, and it wouldn't have happened had he just left like I told him to. Several hours later she texted me to say she was sorry about today. He really meant what he said, and he's actually a good guy, and he cares about her, and he respects me. What? He respects me? He was involved with my wife while she was still married to me. I couldn't believe she was serious. She said, "Fine. I'm trying to have a mature conversation about this. I can't help that we fell in love. Believe it or not, I'm not trying to hurt you, and I want everything to be amicable. This guy took my wife and now he's inserting himself into my child's life too. Sure. I'm the actual father, but now they're setting up a nursery together in his house? I've tried to not feel jealous or sad. I've tried to maintain the thought that he's the one who picked up what I left behind. Sometimes I feel that way, but the truth is that I loved her, and still love her. I don't want to stay married to her on principle alone, but this is devastating to me." Update 6. Another installment of the implosion that is my marriage. My wife is now about 26 weeks pregnant. Surprisingly, there hasn't been much drama between her and her affair partner. I took a long weekend trip last week, and it was nice to get away from everything for a while. The only really frustrating thing that has happened is our conversation about the delivery room. I told her that I will be in the delivery room when our baby is born, not him. After everything she's done, she owes me that much. It's not his child, and he has no right or reason to be there. I refuse to be the one waiting outside while my own child is being born. At first, she agreed and said she never planned to have him in the room with her. I asked if she had told him that yet, and she admitted she hadn't. I told her to make it clear to him that he would have no part in it. Well, she did, and apparently, he wasn't happy about it. He started trying to convince her why he should be there. Next thing I know, she's telling me that he really wants to be there and that since she's the one giving birth, she should get to decide who is in the room. And now she wants him there. I suppose the next step will be him making name suggestions and trying to overrule the names that we had picked out for our future kids for years. We've had a few other discussions, and she told me that I can have our house and the dog in the divorce. However, I'm requesting that we sell the house and split the profit that's already written into the paperwork. I'm not about to buy her out of a house that I've made all the payments on anyway. I have a much better credit score than she does and far less debt. I compromised a lot when we bought this house because it was one she really wanted. I'd rather just get my own place owned that I choose without any reminders of her. And as for the dog, there was never a chance she was getting him. I already have legal proof that he's my dog, so there's no real way a court would award him to her. It was the one thing I told my lawyer I wanted above everything else, besides custody arrangements for my actual child. Honestly, she and her affair partner can have each other, but he will never have my dog. Not to mention, my dog is about 100 times more loyal than my wife's, and might even say better looking too. Since I likely won't be living in this house much longer after the baby is born, assuming everything moves quickly, I've still decided to set up a nursery here anyway. I don't want anyone accusing me of not being invested or prepared for fatherhood. I'm trying to find the positives in all of this. At least I don't have to take her opinions into account when setting it up. I can do whatever I want. Honestly, we've been together for so long and lived together for most of our adult lives that it's been a weird adjustment. On one hand, it's nice not living with someone. On the other, it can feel a little lonely. I have friends and family, but I haven't really been in the mood to go out or hang out much. Whenever I do, they always ask about everything that's going on, and I'm honestly tired of that being the main topic of conversation. On a positive note, I got a promotion at work. Financially, it would have been better if this had happened after the divorce, but I'll take what I can get. Right now, I feel like I'm stuck in limbo. Every decision I make comes with the thought of, how will this affect me in the divorce? I'll admit, sometimes I spy on them on social media. I guess I'm secretly hoping to see that he's been in a motorcycle accident or something now that the weather is nicer. Hasn't happened yet. But he is starting a new business, so once that's up and running, I could always get my friends and family to leave 1-star reviews everywhere. Got to find little ways to have some fun. Sorry if I don't respond to a lot of messages or comments. Sometimes, I just take big breaks from Reddit since it can get really depressing. Editing to add something I forgot. She told her family that we've split up and that she's with this other guy now. Her sister reached out to me to say how sorry she was and that my wife is making a huge mistake. She also told me that my wife has been complaining about her new boyfriend. Apparently, the relationship isn't quite what she thought it would be. She told her sister that he's the one who decides when their time together is over. He's really selfish when it comes to intimacy. He doesn't do the little things she's used to, like clearing the snow off her car in the morning or heating it up for her, or offering to make her food after a long day. He doesn't speak her love language, and he spends too much time hanging out with his friends. Hearing this honestly made my day. She's secretly miserable and I find that absolutely delightful.